Jeremy, what's up, buddy? Big fan. How's it going?
Thank you. I'm going good. How are you?
Doing just fine, man. This film, much of it was like a two-hander between you and Josh Duhamel. What was it like building? Because it felt a lot like, old school odd couple dynamic on screen. Did you guys rehearse beforehand, or was this kind of like something you guys kind of worked out on site?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was on site. There wasn't a lot of time, so we didn't have a lot of time to like build rapport, build chemistry, but we didn't need to. I mean, Josh is an incredible guy. He's super amazing to work with. Definitely one of my favorite people I've worked with ever. And so it just clicked. The chemistry was there initially, and as soon as we met, we both kind of come from similar backgrounds, and we both had kind of the same underlying message for the movie, and we all just kind of agreed on the mission for London Calling. And so yeah, that worked incredibly. And Alan and Josh are both very collaborative, and so we definitely worked a lot on set and offset. It was definitely a lot of collaboration and some ad libs and things like that to really change it and make it perfect.
Yeah, it felt really natural, the conversations between you guys, which also made it really that much more fun for the viewer. And you mentioned Alan Unger, the director. He talked about wanting this film to be like a throwback, like a buddy action film, kind of like Lethal Weapon, Midnight Run, which I totally got that and I really appreciated because I went into this film blind. And because of which I had so much fun. Now, when you come into this role, did Alan give you any homework? Like, hey, I need you to watch these films, or I need you to pick up on these references or anything like that?
So I think that me being in the industry, people just kind of expect me to understand the references. I don't. I'm very shallow with my movie knowledge, I guess you could say. And so he was like, "Yeah, like this in Rush Hour," or I've heard a lot of people mention role models and stuff like that. And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it for sure." And so I think he kind of had to fill me in on the day because I just don't know movie references, which is so awful, and I really need to like catch up. And that was a big problem with it. A lot of people kept asking me like what my favorite horror movie was, and I was like, I don't know. I've never really seen one. I'm young and I'm terrified of all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, there was definitely some homework, but I'm not great at that part. So
All good, man. Yeah, I work in production myself, and it's amazing. You'll find, so many people have seen these movies, but not these movies, and it's probably the same on your end as well.
yeah,
You mentioned it, and I have to ask, London Calling. This is your first like R-rated action comedy, and in
yeah.
it felt very like it's a nice like pathway for you. What was it like, stepping into a different genre, different than it and Goosebumps? Was did it feel good, or do you think you'll find your way back to horror, or what how do you feel, man?
Yeah. So me and Josh actually had some really great conversations at the beginning about kind of like where we want to go with our careers and what we're trying to do with this movie. And that's exactly it. It's a perfect pathway. And I've always wanted to kind of be taken more seriously and kind of go away from like the fat funny kid from It or whatever. And so this was a huge step in the right direction for me for sure. I love the horror stuff. I think that's really awesome. But this is definitely what I want to do long term. So this was awesome. It kind of gave me the opportunity to start as Ben from It and then start to kind of like come into my own. I think it's the perfect chance for that. And so yeah, it was an incredible experience, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So I'm glad that came across right.
Yeah, speaking of the fat funny kid, I took a deep dive into your Instagram, and one of the photos that kind of struck me as like just badassery was you and MMA fighter John Jones. Now,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm from Houston, Texas. I've seen him fight live here, on pay-per-views. I love this shit.
yeah.
So first of all, how did that even happen? And then if so, uh with the MMA training or any martial arts, did that come in handy, with there's a little bit of fight choreography in this film, don't want to spoil it, but there might be a couple
Sure.
fingers involved.
Yeah, yeah,
Did
yeah.
those types of like pacing, did that help you kind of get in the mood to make those things work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have some extensive firearm training as well. I grew up in the South as well, so that's kind of like a thing that we kind of learn. It's kind of like a rite of passage. And so yes, so I was filming a show called Big Sky over in Albuquerque, and I met this guy named Alex. He is incredible. He's a super awesome MMA fighter. You wouldn't think it by looking at him, but oh my gosh, can he freaking throw down in the octagon? And so I was like just kind of talking to him about kind of like what I wanted to do. And it was kind of one of those things. I wanted to take it more seriously. And I had kind of a character arc that I was supposed to go on in Big Sky, and that kind of just fizzled out. But I was like, karate. So I did karate, and I just happened to meet Alex. He was on the show a little bit, and he was like, "Let me just take you to my gym, and we'll work on some stuff." And I was like, "Sick! I love to box." Somehow Logan Paul and Jake Paul, that whole like YouTuber boxing thing, really got me into it, and so I started to learn how to box beforehand, and I was like, "Okay, cool. Like let's do that." And so we went to this gym. It's called Jackson Wink.
Yep.
It's very famous. And I didn't know that at the time, which is another one of those things I just don't get the reference kind of thing. So I had no idea where I was. And John Jones happened to walk in. I know John Jones. I'm an NFL fan, so I know his brother on the Cardinals. And yeah, it was insane. And my brother happened to be there, and so we freaking met John Jones. That was insane. I definitely did not expect that. And he knew Alex, so that was even cooler. He was like, "Oh, hey, Alex." I was like, "What the frick? You just know John Jones on a first name basis? You know John, the freaking dog that man is." And so yeah, absolutely. That was an incredible experience, and I'd love to do some more MMA for sure. That's definitely something I'm interested in. But yes, so that kind of the basics of boxing and MMA and that kind of stuff definitely gets you a good base for doing action stuff like that. Because a big part about action is like you don't really have to know it if you're being shoved down, but that's not really the case. It's you have to learn how to fall and you have to learn how to like take a hit properly, even when it's not real. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. That definitely helps you get into character.
Yeah, and another thing, just to kind of wrap up, I wanted to kind of give you a moment to shine, dude. Like, I was so stoked to find out like you're such a car enthusiast. You have this car show company and like a podcast. And
Yeah.
did that passion, come in handy during, because there's so many high octane sequences in this film, and I was like, the more I learned about you, the more I was like, this is perfect. Like, this is almost like they wrote this role for Jeremy,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of a neat full circle thing for me to see and for me to learn about you.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt the same way. As soon as I read the log line, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in. This is absolutely what I want to be doing. And so, yeah, with the firearm training and everything, they actually kind of had to unteach me a little bit of how that works, which was crazy because it's obviously a very important thing is like the safety of a firearm. And so you never have your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And I was supposed to have my finger on the trigger all the time because I didn't know. And so that was really interesting. And so yeah, absolutely. It was an incredible opportunity and that was all very important for me for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. And
Was
to
there
wrap,
something that you asked at the initially that I kind of missed there? I feel like you asked a question that I didn't answer.
no, 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 I mean, like, basically, I just thought it was pretty badass, man, that you do all this shit. And I was just like, this guy, like, because before going into this film, I only knew you as like the guy from It and
Right.
Goosebumps. And like, the more I dug into your Instagram, congratulations on the marriage as well. Like,
Thank you. Yeah.
there's so much stuff going on that people just aren't recognizing. And I thought that this
Yeah.
was kind of a nice way to showcase it. And speaking of that, and to wrap up, you could put a bow on this fun little interview. This is kind of bigger than Julian's journey. This is also Jeremy's journey in a way.
Absolutely.
What do you really hope for audiences to take away from both of those journeys, beyond the action and the comedy?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to call back to the car enthusiast thing, that's what I forgot to mention is that I am a huge car enthusiast. That's a big. I'm from Bristol, Tennessee, so we have the Bristol Motor Speedway here. If you're a NASCAR fan at all, and so yes, we're actually taking a 1969 Pontiac Grand Prix and we are rebuilding it for the film. So that's something I've been super super excited about. We actually just put the motor in a few hours ago, so we are still actively working on it all the time. Usually, the hardest part about a marketing campaign is these interviews, but these are actually a really nice break for me to like get away from the shop for a minute. So yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge car enthusiast, and that's a big part of my life now for sure. But yeah, what I want people to take away is that this is an action comedy, but there's a beautiful underlying story here with some really incredible relationships that you really get to see blossom through a very uncomfortable situation. So there's definitely more meaning to this than just, oh, this is funny. Absolutely, if you want to go to the theater and you want to just like eat your popcorn mindlessly, that's what I like to do. I feel like we lack that these days, and I think that that's kind of what the world needs. But there's absolutely a beautiful underlying story here that I think people should definitely check out.
Well, Jeremy, it was nice chatting with you for a little bit. This was a fun time at the movies. I look forward to many more. Here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing, man, and you are doing just fine. Stay
Thank you.
busy, keep working, man. I'll keep watching them. Take care, bud.
Thank you so much, brother.